Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gaming and Leisure Voice. I am John Cash Philippi, your host today. I am blessed to be here with Ben Farber with Bristol Associates. As some of you may know, I'm currently on the job hunt. This isn't unique to me. Many people find themselves in a similar situation throughout their careers. Nor am I alone on this hunt. The competition for employment at high levels is fierce. This is why, in our specialized industry, it is crucial to have representation at higher levels. If you're a director or above, having someone to represent you is not just a need, it's a necessity. This is why today I'm excited to be discussing the human side of recruiting with Ben Farber, president and owner of Bristol and Associates, as I said before. But before we do that, and before we start with that, let's get a word from our sponsors, Agilicis. Agilicis delivers state-of-the-art software solutions and services that help casinos achieve high-return hospitality by maximizing return on experience through interactions that make personal profitable. Agilicis will partner with you to implement the right hospitality solution for you, whether that is cloud or on-prem, best-of-breed point solution, or fully integrated ecosystem. Discover the power of high-return hospitality and delight your guests, retain staff, and grow your margins. Visit agilicis.com for more information or to schedule an initial consultation. Welcome back. Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Bristol Associates?
First, Sean, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to talk about our firm and a little bit about us and how we help. So we're a third generation family business. I recently celebrated my 21st year with Bristol Associates. Started after college and been doing this ever since. My aunt and uncle taught me the business and they retired in 2014.
Wait, wait,
So
wait. 21st year. You look like you're celebrating your 21st birthday. Okay. That's all I can say.
the gray hairs just started to come in about 2.5 years ago when we had our first son. So we now have him as well as a second son that is now 8 weeks old as of this Friday.
And congratulations on that, by the way. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have our hands full, but it certainly puts recruiting into perspective.
Cool. Okay. So, I've been looking for a new position, you know, and I did what most people do. I just blanketed every recruiter I know and sent out my resume to all of them. Is that the right approach?
If it's the right approach for you, then yes, that's first and foremost. Any firm or recruiter that you're working with should be supportive of the candidate. And if they're not, then we say run for the hills. We believe that really the best fit is one that's best for the candidate and the company they're going to work for. With that said, we do believe in honesty, transparency, communication, those basic traits so that no one's blindsided through the process.
That's fantastic. Now, there's a thing that cracks me up all the time. As I'll go crazy. I always have the joke that, I'm close to wearing tissue boxes on my feet. And it's true. And I tend to stare at the email and the phone and wait for it to ring or wait for the email to ping. And it's that level of you know, what's going on? What's Ben got going on over there? Why isn't he calling me? What's going on the other side of that phone or email while I'm sitting there going crazy?
In this day and age of technology, it's tough. We're so used to instant responses, the next ding, the next notification, whether it's our inbox, a text message, something from social media. And, even though technology certainly influenced what we do and we still move really quickly, it really just depends on the opportunity. It could, I always tell people it could be the next week, next month, next year to have something that's right for you because there's so many factors, your experience, your location, where you want to be, compensation ranges. We take all those variables into consideration. So that's first and foremost. But if we do have something for you, we certainly do try and keep you, involved and in the loop in the process as much as possible. And if we aren't considering an opportunity together, then we're tend to be at the mercy of our clients and the speed in which they're operating. How quickly can they give us feedback? How quickly can they get together internally to agree on feedback and then share it with us that we can then pass on to the candidates? Hopefully that gives some insight as to what's really happening behind the scenes.
Well, and you bring up a good point there, or because I mean, just on the average, how many candidates do you deal with on a daily, I mean, every day? Because I know it's got to be hard to keep up with mass amounts of candidates. I mean, are you dealing with, like 50 to 100 people on a regular basis, or do you have only like 10 or 15, or how does that, I mean, what are you juggling?
It's a great question. So yeah, I would say 50 per hunt to 100 per search, really, if you think about it. And that ranges anywhere from candidates that we're starting out from the beginning of our search to say, can these people be right? And then we narrow and whittle down that pool to a handful of candidates that we feel are best to submit to our client, the client being the hiring authority and the company looking to fill the role. And again, that's just per search. And we're often working, one recruiter can handle up to, at least 10 searches at a time, oftentimes, which may sound like a lot, but each search tends to be at a different process, which allows that recruiter to get to everybody, to get to every candidate that they need to get every client they need to, because the correspondence is happening at different times. But yes, we're juggling a lot, and I enjoy that challenge because the it's still our job and our goal to make everybody feel like they're the only person we're working with because they deserve that. Every candidate deserves that. Every client deserves that.
No, and I mean, that's got to be difficult because you can't get back with everybody every day. I mean, you can't, it's hard to get back with everybody once a week sometimes. So yeah, I get that. Before we go on, we're blessed on GNL Voice to have two sponsors. And so we have a second sponsor today with C-Swan. So let's pause for a second to hear from C-Swan. Are you concerned about ransomware? C-Swan's advanced solution, trusted by the U.S. military, offers unparalleled protection for your data. And now you can test drive it for free. Experience the peace of mind that comes with top-tier cybersecurity. Contact us today at cswan.io and safeguard your digital world. Don't wait until it's too late. Ensure your data's safety with C-Swan. Visit cswan.io now to get started and join the ranks of satisfied users. Welcome back. And Ben, I joke about desperation, and it's funny, and the desperation of the candidate, and my own desperations when you think about it, as you look at the candidate, you're sitting there going, oh, how much money do I have left? Can I pay the bills? And then I'm dwindling through my savings and all that type of stuff, trying to find a thing. And you deal with that on a daily basis. I can't imagine how hard it must be for you to deal with that level of desperation in some of your candidates. How do you handle that, and how do you help the candidate through that process?
Well, first it starts off with compassion. I think, once you realize we all wake up every day, we all put pants on the same way. We're all trying to do the best for ourselves and our family, no matter what the circumstance, whether we're employed or unemployed. You start from that place, and it really helps, allows people to breathe, relax, be themselves when they're talking to you, and really listen to what's going on in their lives so that they can be their best selves professionally, both when speaking to us, but also in the interview process. I feel like it really helps to talk through that. So when they get to an interview, they can perform and be at their best as opposed to being distracted by all the things you just mentioned. Because we've all had those bad days where, you know, uh, things are just piling up on you mentally, and it's hard to, clear your mind, focus at the job at hand, and it can affect your performance. So, those are some of the things we keep in mind when we're speaking to people, and how we do our best to help them through it.
That's great. And I guess since as a candidate, I don't pay you directly. You get paid by the client who's looking for the candidate. How does that change the dynamic for in the search for you?
Well, it's good that you point that out. Not everyone's aware of that, but we often remind our candidates of that as well. That if a search firm's ever asking for a fee from them, that another reason to run for the hills, because that's not the way our process works. Uh, but yeah, we still the candidates still deserve respect, and we owe our attention and energy to them as well, regardless if they're right for the opportunity or not. We feel like the candidate experience is very important, both for our clients and our firm and the way we conduct our business. So we're upfront about that. We're transparent about that relationship so that they understand that. And how we're going about our search process. And I think as long as you're doing that, people respect that. People respect communication and honesty. And as long as you go about your business that way, then there's no animosity throughout the process about why one thing is happening or why one another thing is not happening.
Cool. So you must have a great deal of candidates, as we talked about before, and clients. How do you create that perfect marriage between the candidates and the clients? I mean, how do you find out? How do you fit them together?
Yeah, well, I think I can take you through our steps, but I think another key part of our job is getting both sides to understand our process and experience and how that works too, because everybody tends to be looking at the search process through their lens, right? So if you're somebody who's looking to fill a position, maybe you've worked at a couple properties at a couple of different states, that's the experience that you're going to look at the hiring through. And if you're the candidate, same thing. For us, this is what we do all day, every day, in just about all 50 states and all verticals across the entire hospitality industry. So that can be daunting and overwhelming, but that experience really helps us to understand, the people we're speaking to on both sides about the process. And we shed light on that as far as where both people are, that it is a good fit when it comes to their experience and really what they want. That's to me, that's really our job. How can you get both people to have the same common goal and have there be something in it for both sides?
So, all that being said, I mean, from my perspective, there is nothing more fulfilling than someone getting a position, getting their value tank refilled and getting them feeling that wonderful feeling of being needed and wanted again and being out there. How does, I mean, for you, how does that get into you? I mean, that's got to be a great feeling.
It is a great feeling. It's one I tend to keep close to the vest because I think it kind of plays in the background to the greater goal at hand. Everybody's moving at such a fast pace. The candidate wants the job, client wants to get the job filled, that there isn't always as much room and space for the warm and fuzzy side of it. But that's certainly a motivating factor for me and for us, and why we've been doing this for so long. And that tends to come full circle, I think, once the process has been completed. Sometimes it's on the start date, sometimes it's 3 months, a year later. That's when it really feels nice, when people come back and reflect and have some gratitude about, oh wow, that was nice that happened in the way that it happened. It was nice to have some help and somebody thought of me and helped me in this journey.
Well, warm and fuzzy, that's me. I'm a crier. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tear up at a movie. My wife, it hates it. The last thing I want to ask, I guess, is advice. I mean, what advice, overall advice, would you give to someone who is working with recruiters, who's doing all these things? What's your last bit of advice you would say to somebody who's out there and looking?
I would say don't give up, hold your chin up high, don't give up, and treat the job search as if you would when you are on the job. I think a lot of people think when they're unemployed and they're looking for a job that it's kind of a part-time thing, right? It's an opportunity to take a break, which we certainly understand. and maybe you look for a job part-time, and that's enough activity to get back in the job market, which I think tends to be the case. But just for the sake of keeping your good habits and being ready to jump back into full-time work when that first day starts again, we encourage people to try and keep the routines as much as possible. So whatever your morning routine is before you start your work day, do that. And then now your job at hand maybe not is not being an IT leader, but it's being a job searcher and a networker. And take your lunch break and do it again in the afternoon. Obviously, give yourself time and space to wind down in the night, and take time off in the weekends if you need to, and do it again. And I think that will really expedite someone's results and getting back to work.
That's fantastic advice. I'm going to stop sleeping in then. I think I'm just kidding. That's great advice, Ben. I think that anybody, including myself, could learn a lot from this interview. You've said a lot, and I really appreciate your time here with us. It's been great. Is there any final thoughts? Anything that you'd like to say?
Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. If anybody has any follow-up questions in regards to this topic, they're welcome to contact us directly, and we're always available.
Great. Thank you, everyone. You've been watching Ben Farber with Bristol Associates. I'm John Cash Philippi with GNL Voice. Can't wait to talk to you next time.